Hello and welcome to the first of many Photoshop tutorials. You need to log into Photoshop with your @schools login and password that's been provided on the lesson plan. Once you've managed to do that, what you're going to do is go File, New. You'll be given a lot of different options. Now, because we are going to be printing this on our school printer, I want you to click on Print and then go over and select A4 size. And once you're there, you can click on Landscape. There's some other options in here that we don't need to change, such as 300 pixels per inch, which is perfect, and RGB colour. Go down to the bottom right and click on Create. And you'll have an A4 artboard for you to work with. If you want to zoom in and out, you can go onto the left-hand tool palette and practice zooming in and zooming out like this. If you hold onto the space bar, you can go side to side. And if you end up losing your artboard out off to the side, what you can do is go View and Fit on Screen, and it'll come back to the middle. Some things that I want you to notice are on the right-hand side is some layers. So if you can't see layers, go up to Window, Layers, and make sure that it comes up on the right-hand side because you will be working with the layers. There's also some options across the top here and lots of tools on the left-hand side. Now, what I want you to do first is we're going to make a hybrid animal. So you're going to go to the internet and find an animal to start with. That'll be the base of your hybrid animal that you're going to create in Photoshop. I'm going to try and find an elephant. Go down to elephant, click on images. We're going to find one that's pretty much in the middle of the picture and that it looks quite high resolution. Don't copy the one on the left, go over to the one on the right, and when it's fully downloaded, right click and go all the way down to copy image. Then we're going to go back to Photoshop and we're going to go edit. Actually, we're just going to go Control V for paste. If you have a look on the right hand side, just down here, it's made another layer, and that is our elephant layer. You can label that elephant if you like. Double clicking on that. What we can do now is we're going to scale that up to the edges of the artboard. And the way we do that is we make sure we're on the right layer, and we go Edit, which is a menu across the top called Edit. We're going to go down to Transform and up to Scale. And these toggles come up. We're just going to grab a corner toggle, drag it right up until we can't see any white, and then click Enter on the keyboard. And once you've clicked Enter, it looks nice and sharp resolution again. If it's looking a bit blurry, I would go and find another image. If you need to delete the layer, you just drag that layer down onto the rubbish bin and you just copy one from the internet again. Now, I think these ears look a little bit maybe like butterfly wings. So I'm going to go to the internet and I'm going to find a butterfly. And I'm going to pick one. These ones look good. I'm going to right click, copy image, back to Photoshop, and go Control V again. Now they're even facing the right way. If I needed to flip it the other way, I could go to Edit, Transform, Flip Horizontal, or Edit, Transform, Scale if I needed to make it bigger. Enter. But I'm going to flip it back the other way. And if I click on this little cross button up the top here, I can actually move it around just like that. Now, sort of get it into where you want it to go. If you need to rotate it, you just go Transform to rotate. You can grab a corner toggle and rotate it around. Click Enter. I might actually just put these coming out of the elephant's back, actually. I think that might look quite cool. So I'm going to need to delete this background. We're going to do a little bit of a cheat trick with this, and we're going to just use the eraser tool over here, which is about halfway down. And when we click on that, I want you to go across to the top and you'll have a look up here and you can see that there's lots of different options. If I click on this button, I can change the size, and I'm going to make it about 400 pixels and 0 hardness. And that means that when I actually, maybe I'll make it 450. When I actually use this eraser to get rid of the background, it's very soft. So I'm just going to start by very carefully going around, getting rid of the parts of the butterfly wings that I don't want. This. And I don't actually want the body of the butterfly. Now I can zoom right in, hold the spacebar down to get around, and I can make that a little bit smaller when I get in closer if I really wanted to. And just by using the soft eraser, makes everything work out a lot better. So we'll go back to the settings for that. So it's up and clicking on eraser. In the settings up here, we started off with 450 and there was 0 hardness, and that gave us a nice soft eraser to work with. Once we're happy, we're going to fix it into position. Now, maybe I will make it the elephant ears, but I'm just going to flip it upside down, flip vertical, and rotate it around. And click enter. A little bit more up here that I'm going to get rid of. Now, what am I going to add next? Now let's go a bit crazy and maybe add some texture such as spikes. You could also add some coloured feathers and things like that. Go back to the internet and I found a picture of this echidna with these spikes. I'm going to see if I can incorporate those into my butterfly elephant. Go down, copy image, back to Photoshop, Control V to paste in the echidna. I'm going to actually label that as echidna over on my layers so I keep everything nice and organised. I'm going to scale that up a bit. Transform, scale, and enter. And I'm going to rotate it. I'm going to actually flip it horizontal because I think it will fit over its back, just like that. I'm going to go back to my soft eraser. Check that the settings are all the same. So around 450, 0 hardness. And I'm going to go and very, very carefully delete most of the echidna until I've just got this very silly spiky elephant bottom. Like that. Now, once you've added a few different things, you might want to be really silly and add something such as a hat or a flower or anything you like. So you can go to the internet and you can go and find all different kinds of hats. I like this cowboy hat. Now, if you find something with a white background, I'm going to show you a trick. We're going to copy that in. Back to Photoshop, Control V, and it's come in with its white background. Now, if the background is quite, it's just all the same colour, and there's a good contrast between the background and the image, what you can do, is I'm going to make sure I pull that hat, is you can actually use something called the magic wand tool, and you can click on that white area and all these little marching ants will come up, and that means it's selected that area, and you can go delete, and it'll actually delete off the area that's all the same colour. Now, those marching ants mean that that's still selected, so we can't do anything with that until we go select, deselect, or Control D, and there's no marching ants. Once there's no marching ants, we can move that part of the image around. I'm going to pop that up on the top. Go back to my soft eraser. Make it a bit smaller. And delete off those strings. Just like that. And now my very silly elephant is wearing a hat. Now I'm going to give this a name, and I want to write the name onto this Photoshop file. So I'm going to go over to the T tool. Once I'm on the T tool, I'm going to click somewhere on the screen, and all these different options come up the top. So choose a font that's quite bold. Make it whatever size you like, and make it a colour that's going to stand out. I'm just going to use white, and I'm going to call this an Echid Nafant Fly. And I'm going to move that around to a nice spot. I'm going to go File, Save As, and I'm going to save this on my computer, because what I want to do is actually upload it to my OneDrive CAD folder. I'm going to save it in my OneDrive CAD folder as hybrid animal. Now, it's a Photoshop file at the moment. You could actually change that to a TIFF to make it flat, or just leave it as a Photoshop file and click Save. Now I want you to print this out for your folio as well, your display folder. So we're going to go File, Print. You're going to make sure Sand Printer is on. Now have a look over here, and you can see that it's actually chopped off the edges and it's rotated it around. So we have to actually go into Print, change it to Landscape over here, and make sure that that's all looking right, and then we can click Print. Then you can go and collect it from your printer and put it into your display folder if you've organised that yet. Otherwise, just put your name on it and put it into the Classroom tab. Thank you.